Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program with Lone Debater 7, and today we are setting up thermal power. So basically the way this works is you get a mining machine set up on coal if you haven't already. Go do that, and you're going to input coal to fuel these bad mammoths. So we've got a fair amount of coal buffered right here. This isn't optimal, it's better to just feed the belt because you're going to want the speed. But next, all you got to do is have sorters insert this coal into your thermal generator. So the angle's too wide right there. We need to fix the belt. That's fine. Let's try that. Sometimes the belts are a little bit weird and you gotta play with them a little bit to get them to work. But there's that. We've got that guy built, connected, this guy connected, and now we've got this guy connected. So we've got 3 thermal power stations. When they're running at full capacity, they generate 2.16 megawatts worth of power, which is pretty good, especially compared to 300 kilowatts that you get off of a turbine. Now this isn't optimal by any sense, so what I want to do is actually build a separate mining facility and connect it up with a belt and do it that way, just because we're going to burn through coal fast enough with these plants that it needs its own belt. It needs to be a dedicated line, so we're just going to get that built real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm still going to leave the box connected as like a buffer point, more or less. So like, let's say we need a little bit of extra throughput in order to keep these all going. We have the box that's storing off of this machine and putting in as well. So I think this will be sufficient, all things considered. We do need to get some fuel for our mech, so you can hold 4 stacks in your fuel compartment at a time. For now, we'll put in 4 stacks of coal, and that will last us 1 gigajoule, a little bit more, in power generation. But as you can see, now that we've got this machine set up, we've got our 3 plants, they're all satisfied, they're doing fine. We've got almost 9 megawatts worth of power being generated. Honestly, I'd prefer to have a little bit more. If we do this, we'll have 11. And I believe one of these miners is able to do 4 of these, or power 4 of these, so you can kind of compartmentalize. So some of the issues you might have is running out of space to put things. So I find if you move your power away from where you're building your factory, it makes it a lot easier to build the factory, because you're not trying to run belts over power stations and all this random nonsense. So it just tends to work out a little bit better. That's just me, and that's just my playstyle. Maybe you can spaghetti some stuff and make it work, and that's great. If you can, go for it. This is more or less just a guide showing you how you can do it. So there we go. We've got 4 thermal power stations up and running, generating us almost 11 megawatts worth of power. So now that we've got the power set up, we can go back over to our factory over here where we're gathering our iron and our copper, and we can take a look at automating research. So I do need a little bit of iron, so I'm just going to take out of the buffers on the smelters here. We're also going to take some magnets and some electronics, and that should be fine. So basically the way science works in this game, once you research the basic stuff, you start needing these blue cube guys, right? And we have the research and recipe in order to make those inside of the matrix guy right here, so the matrix lab. If we put this guy right here and set it to produce blues, if we supply this with electronic circuits and magnets, it will produce blue cubes for us. So what we need to do is take a conveyor belt from here, bring it up, take a belt from here, bring it up, and then we just connect them. So this goes in, this goes in, this goes out, and this goes out. Cool. And there we go. So now, once we power this, which I wanted to get power set up first because this does draw a lot of power, throw down our power source, and now blue cubes are being built automatically, which is pretty spiffy. We're going to go ahead and throw in a storage container right here, and we're going to store these blues before we send them elsewhere. That way we have a buffer. I do need to build, let's build actually all 5 of these. So what's cool about this game, and is a little bit different from some of the other factory builder type games you might be familiar with, is you can actually stack some buildings. So you can stack storage units. So like if I took the storage unit, I could place it on top, it'll store more of these. You can also stack these matrix slabs. So once one builds, which, yeah, since we queued up all of them, it'll take a minute. But once it builds, we can stack them 3 high. So we can put another 2 on this one, and then we can set up 3 right here for the time being to research with these cubes, and then we won't have to research in our inventory anymore. In addition to the technologies, there's also upgrades, so you can upgrade your mech. So Mecha Core is an easy one. It's 20 iron, 20 copper, so we'll get that one set. This one does take blue, so we'll wait. But once we research Mecha Core, it increases our max energy capacity, which is nice. So we'll be able to store more. We'll be at 140 megajoules instead of 100. So it just takes a little bit of time for that to happen. All the meanwhile, we are generating these cubes, so it's not like we're wasting time on research. So we can also enqueue this one. We've got 10 blue cubes in our inventory, so we'll use that off for Universe Exploration 1. This basically allows you to see resource distributions on planets, so it unlocks a new detail display. So like you can look at your power grid, it'll show you the circles. This is space navigation. This is when you're flying in space. We're not at that point yet. This is to guide you when it's nighttime. Then you've got building warnings, building icons, so there's different stuff you can turn on and off. It affects your HUD and things like that, but vein distribution right here, which unlocks with this research, will allow us to view resources. So once this is done, we'll kind of show what that means. We can go back in. Now that we've got the first level of Mecha Core, we can also increase our move speed, inventory capacity, communication, energy, drive engine. So there's a bunch of different researches you can complete. Drive engine is one we should probably do. So let's grab these magnets, and we probably have 150 coal in here. Yeah, we do. So we're gonna go ahead and start drive engine. So Universe Exploration 1, if we go to display, we can hit veins distribution, and it'll tell you what resources you have. So crude oil seep, 15 iron ore veins, this much remaining, 13 copper, this much remaining. If you look at the coal, it says the same. So that can be useful if you're looking for something specific at the zoomed out level. I don't normally play with that on when I'm just walking around. Once we get drive 1, we'll be able to fly, which is useful when you spread your base out like we kind of have, because you can get from one side to the other relatively quickly. Now, I think we were building matrix slabs, and we were, so if we stack these up 3 high, all 3 of them will build blue cubes. So you do have to provide it enough magnets and electronics to actually satisfy demand type of a thing, but no worries. It'll slowly produce, and then this box will fill up as a buffer. Now with the other 3 that we've got, we're just going to place them right here and stack those 3 tall, and we're going to set this one to research mode. So what we can do, all of these are now set to research mode. If we take a sorter, go from this box into this, any blue cube research we have will now be automatically completed by the matrix slab, and we don't have to carry research stuff inside of our inventory. The exception to that is if the research takes something that aren't the like cube guys. So like this one has so these are cubes, these aren't though. So like this we have to do manually in our inventory. This one we have to do in our inventory, and this one we have to do in our inventory, right? So there is some stuff to look at there, not a big deal. This will slowly buffer, so it fills the bottom one first, then it'll start filling the upper levels from there. So basically by the time we're ready to start researching blue stuff, this should be fully buffered. This will have a nice buffer as well. So the factory will be ready to kind of handle it, more or less. Something that I should take a look at. So I still have magnets, I've got some iron, I've got a decent amount of copper. Okay, so we've got some good stuffs. That's helpful. Power is still holding out reasonably well. Once we start using these labs, our power draw will increase significantly, so we just got to keep that in mind. What else? let's go back to technologies. So once you get thermal power, I typically go for it's this one, smelting purification. Then I go for steel smelting, improved logistics. Then I go plasma control, electromagnetic, or actually I go plasma control first. And the reason why I go plasma first is because this will allow you to build a wireless power tower, which allows you to charge your mech with your power grid. So that's pretty good. So we'll do that, smelting purification, steel smelting, logistics. And you can queue up, I forget what the limit is, but basically we're just going to queue up all of the blue cube researches because, you know, that's what we have access to at this point. We can also improve the efficiency of this by adding additional sorters, so we can have 3 on that face right there. So if we actually put 3, it'll take 3 cubes over instead of just 1, which will help fill this top lab, more or less. So we'll take that one as well, just so we're doing what we need to. As far as this one goes, it's like we could do the same thing on the front end. So we got wireless power, we'll set up one of those in a sec. But there we go. So this is basically, this buffer is moving items as efficiently as we possibly can at this point. We're going to turn off use inventory item for now because we're not doing any of this research in our suit. But if we go into power and look at this wireless power tower, they're fairly expensive, and they're only expensive because we don't have a stone mine set up yet. But we'll produce maybe 2 of them so we can have a couple of charging points throughout the base. But let's take a look. So this is stone over here. So I want to build a gatherer. And we actually will build 3 smelters. I think I have a storage box. I do. So we've got motors unlocked now. That's cool. I will take another 100 iron. And I will take the buffer magnets. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to automate stone mining because we need stone. I think that is within range, hopefully. Yep, it is. Cool. We'll nestle that one in there. Go to gathering, take out our miner. That's a pretty good spot. Not a big deal. We don't need a whole ton of stone, but we want enough to power 3 smelters. So we'll set up our smelters. 1, 2, and 3. And this is going to make glass for us. So we're going to have 2 making glass. Then we're going to have 1 just making regular stone. Go in, get our sorters, connect up these machines. We're going to have to put down another power pole. We'll do that at the end. We want 1 more storage box. We can't produce it because we don't have the stone. So let's actually power this first. And we'll get a storage box for this. And then and actually this is what we need in order to build another storage box. I think it's 4 of them. Build 1. And that is going to store the glass. So these 2 materials aren't super useful starting off. But when you get farther in, you need both glass and stone. So it's kind of like you might as well automate it now. That way you have the resources buffering while you're progressing through the game. That's just how I do this anyway. You don't have to. But gathering this glass is super helpful for us. I believe we can make prisms as well. So that's in an assembler. So if we take an assembler, and we'll build a couple assemblers. Like I need more stone to build more smelters, so we'll grab some stone and build a couple smelters as well. Just so we have the building blocks to do stuff more than anything. We'll also build a few gatherers. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and get our assembler down. Put that over by our glass. We are going to build like 4 storage units eventually. That's fine. And we can set glass to make prisms. Take a sorter, which we don't have either. Jeez, we're running out of materials left and right. But we are automating a lot at the same time, so I'm okay with it. Let's see, we've got more smelters built. That's cool, I guess. Pick up the stone. I like to carry 100 stone on me. The glass, having 80 glass is actually useful for us as well, because sometimes you don't need the prisms, you just need basic glass. But anyway, so then we take that, store the prisms. So we take glass, put that into the prism machine, then we take prism machine, store it into here. Now we're building prisms automatically. And it'll slowly fill this box with prisms. And then the last step in these poles is to build these guys, so plasma exciters, which is magnets and prisms. So pretty easy. We got to bring our prisms over to our copper, more or less, and our magnet bases. So what I'm going to do instead, because it makes more sense to do this if you're expanding your factory, is I am going to build an independent supply. So we're going to go ahead and build a second iron gatherer and a second iron smeltery. So just do this. And it doesn't have to be big. Like two of these is, or actually even just one of these is probably more than enough. So we'll build one. And this is just going to make magnet bases for us, because we need magnet bases to make magnetic coils. So it makes sense that, yeah, we're building this. So do that. Next step is we need an assembler. So we'll connect the assembler to magnet bases. Whoops, we're not building motors, we're actually building magnetic coils like that. And then we just need to grab some iron ingots, or copper ingots rather. So this copper buffer is satisfying this demand just fine. So what I'm gonna do is just build a conveyor belt all the way over. We need to build more tracks, but that is easily taken care of. Build a few, and we are going to automate tracks at some point too. I just want to automate these coils and get the wireless power stuff automated as best as I can. So if we look to make, it's these guys, it's magnets and prisms, and then we need to build these, which is magnets and iron ingots, so we've got iron for that too, to make power poles, and then we can make the wireless power. So we're going to automate those out, and then we'll end the episode. We do need a sorter, pulling out the copper. Need more track, coming down to our magnets. That will go in like so. And boom, there we go. We got magnet coils being built here. Now, at this point, we gotta decide which direction we want to take this. Since we have most of our boxes down here, I'm going to move it over onto this side of the water. So we're going to put these guys down here. So this takes prisms and it takes magnets, or magnetic coils, whatever. So I'm going to go from here over to here. And then I'm going to go... We really want to take it out of this box. So we'll go from there to there. Let's just go ahead and connect this, connect this, connect this, connect this, and then we need to throw down some power poles. Cool. And we'll build some more power poles while we're at it. And now we've got these being built automatically. Now these I will store. Just because it's one of the base components, so it makes sense to actually store these directly. And it doesn't hurt to buffer items either. That way, while you're building the rest of the factory, you're still producing items, right? So we're going to need 2 more assemblers, I believe, to finish this chain off to make the power poles. We do need to implement 1 more smelter on this side. And you can hover over the water like this. That's just what happens with your mech when you're going over water that's deep. It does burn more energy to do that, so just keep that in mind. So to build regular power poles, we need 2 iron plates and 1 magnet. So what we need is an assembly machine by the magnets. Or actually, we can build these over here, maybe. So that was not a good placement. So I can build this like this. Just take the iron straight out of there, put it in this assembler, because we are building power poles in this one. Then you take a track from right here, bring it over, and you connect. And then once this is built, we'll connect this, and it will take magnets, put it on to this belt, and we'll be good to go. Pretty fancy, right? Pretty fancy. I am gonna improve the inserter for this. So there are advanced, and it's not an inserter, it's a sorter. So sorter Mark IIs do move faster. So if you put those on the outputs, it will fill the belt quicker, meaning that it can supply both of these. And honestly, let's do this. So we're gonna expand this belt, and we're also gonna connect a sorter there and a sorter there, so we get enough output to fuel both of these machines. Okay, so we've got our basic power poles. What we do, well, I'm gonna take those because I would like to have 10 power poles. Next step, or the last step actually, is to build the power poles into wireless power poles. So this is going to be making these, and we're going to throw an advanced sorter from this box right over to there. I am going to store power poles. Just because conveyor belts can go over water. Like, what I'm going to do is run a conveyor like this. I'm going to throw storage box here. And let's get that. We'll use an advanced sorter here because we want to output these relatively quickly. So there's that. It's going to do its thing. And then it's going to build over here. We're going to throw another storage container right here. We're also going to place one of these wireless power poles so we can charge over here.
You built a wireless power tower, which is suitable with long-distance power transmission caused by its
Honestly,
longer
I should
connection
do
distance.
both.
What's exciting is that it can also charge mecha by using electricity from the grid.
Yeah, so this is what a wireless power tower is. When you're in range, it will charge up your suit with the power from the grid, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and just throw a sorter on like that. And there we go. So we've automated all the stone items now. We have automated power poles and wireless power stations, in addition to Blue Science. So we've made a fair amount of progress. Today, if you are looking for guides on how to automate building some of this stuff, hopefully this has helped you. Next time, we're probably going to take a look at automating cargo tracks. So building the belts and just base tier sorters, and we might even take a look at tier 2 sorters, just so we have all of the building materials automated so we can come in, pick up everything we need, then go on and build the factory. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always, and until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya.